What if you moved through life like success was already guaranteed? What if every step you took carried the force of inevitability? Most men wait for signs. They hesitate, they doubt, they shrink at the first crack of resistance. But the few, the legends, move before proof, speak before applause, act before certainty. They walk as if the doors are already open, as if the crown is already theirs. This story isn't about luck. It's about the unstoppable power you unleash when you act as if you can't fail, even when the world hasn't caught up yet. This is how it begins. There comes a moment where everything you thought you needed, permission, clarity, applause, reveals itself for what it really is, a lie. You were never waiting on anything but yourself. You were never lacking anything but decision. Right now, this second, you stand at the line. On one side is the man who moves only when it's safe. On the other is the man who acts as if success is inevitable, not because he's naive, not because he ignores the odds, but because he knows this: life bends to certainty. You have been told to wait. Wait for more proof. Wait for the right feeling. Wait until you're ready. That lie has cost men their dreams, their power, their lives. But there is another way. The few who rise, they rise because they assume the outcome is already written. They don't walk through doors. They break them open. They don't chase signs. They move like the signs are chasing them. They act as if they can't fail, and because of that, failure loses its power. Most men think they need to feel confident before they act. They have it backwards. Action births confidence. Action multiplies faith. Action builds a new identity. When you move as if it's already yours, the world has no choice but to adjust. This is not delusion. It is mental architecture. It is engineering your reality from the inside out. You do not wait for external validation to anoint you. You walk in the fire and crown yourself. It will feel unnatural at first. Your mind will scream for evidence. Your body will hesitate, looking for the old chains it used to cling to. Ignore it. Move anyway. Speak anyway. Build anyway. Certainty is not something you find. It is something you forge. Every step you take without proof, every decision you make without applause, every action you carry through without guarantee. These are the bricks. Layer by layer, you lay the foundation that makes failure impossible. Understand this: there will be no grand announcement, no flashing lights, no perfect signal that tells you now is the time. It will feel messy, it will feel uncertain, but your only job is to walk anyway. Walk like the outcome is already secured. Speak like your voice already carries authority. Build like the dream is already in motion, because it is. The universe does not respond to need, it responds to belief. So today you shift, today you step, today you move. Like success isn't a question, it's a law. Let the world catch up. Let the evidence arrive when it wants. You will not wait. You will not apologize. You will act as if you can't fail. Because when you do, you make it true. Most men live as if their circumstances are fixed, as if life happens to them. They don't see the truth. They don't see the silent law shaping their every step. Your assumptions, not your talent, not your resources, not your luck, determine your reality. What you expect, you invite. What you prepare for, you create. What you assume will happen starts moving toward you the moment belief takes root. You've been taught to be realistic, to expect setbacks, to brace for disappointment. And you wonder why life feels like a series of barricades instead of a battlefield you can conquer. You set the coordinates of your life with your assumptions, and life, neutral and indifferent, simply delivers according to the orders you gave it, not through magic, not through fantasy, but through focus, through persistence, through the small, invisible calibrations that shape how you speak, how you act, how you endure. A man who assumes victory moves differently than a man who expects defeat. He carries himself with a posture that does not waver. He sees challenges as confirmations, not contradictions. When others flinch, he leans in. When others shrink, he expands, and slowly power shifts toward him, not because the world suddenly became easier, but because he stopped assuming resistance meant retreat. He stopped assuming difficulty meant defeat. Every day you are broadcasting your assumptions to the world. Every word you speak, every plan you make, every risk you avoid or embrace is a signal. Am I moving because I know the outcome is mine, or am I hesitating because I doubt it ever will be? The man who expects failure unconsciously sabotages his own path. He pulls away at the moment he should lean forward. He hesitates when life demands a blow. He tiptoes through opportunities instead of storming them. But when you shift your assumption, when you expect the doors to open, expect the winds to stack, expect the invisible hands of providence to clear your path, you act with a force most men will never touch. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You are simply operating from the highest possible frequency, certainty without evidence. You don't need a fortune teller to see your future. Look at your dominant assumptions. Look at the questions you whisper to yourself in the dark. Look at the scenarios you prepare for when no one's watching. Are you bracing for betrayal or building for breakthrough? Are you calculating your collapse or commanding your rise? The man who lives like everything is working in his favor moves through the storm differently. He welcomes the silence. He endures the delay. He refuses to question what he has already decided. His assumption is so strong, so deep, so relentless that the world eventually bends around it. Today, you take full ownership. Today, you stop waiting for evidence. Today, you rewire your assumption to match your destiny, not your doubts. Assume the best. Assume the victory. Assume the breakthrough. Move accordingly. And watch reality adjust. There's a force more powerful than intelligence, more valuable than talent, more rare than ambition. It is certainty. Certainty moves mountains. Certainty builds empires. Certainty forges men into legends. Not because it's flashy, not because it's loud, but because certainty refuses to be moved by the storms that break weaker minds. You've been lied to. They told you certainty was arrogance. They told you it was better to be cautious, to hedge, to leave an escape route open just in case. But that thinking is what keeps men chained to mediocrity, living half-lives filled with half-efforts. Certainty isn't arrogance, it's survival. It's the only way to move when the world demands proof and offers none. It's the only way to hold the line when everything external screams for your surrender. The man who is certain wins not because the path is easy, but because he refuses to entertain defeat. He is not reckless. He is not blind. He sees the obstacles clearer than most, and he moves anyway. He does not waste his energy questioning his right to win. He does not burn his focus calculating what might go wrong. He assumes the outcome is secured and builds his actions to match. Without certainty, you crumble at the first sign of resistance. Without certainty, you start listening to the doubters, the critics, the weaker parts of yourself that whisper, maybe this was a mistake. Without certainty, you become a drifter, swayed by every failure, seduced by every distraction, paralyzed by every delay. Certainty is your armor against this. It is the immovable force that keeps you aligned when logic says to quit. Think of the titans of history. Henry Ford, building automobiles when the world still worshipped horses. Thomas Edison, testing thousands of times before the world saw even a flicker of light. Andrew Carnegie, forging steel empires out of nothing but vision and unshakable belief. They were not the most loved. They were not the most understood. But they were the most certain. You must build that same kind of certainty. A certainty so strong it feels carved into your bones. You do not hope you will rise. You decide. You do not wonder if you'll make it through the storm. You assume you already have. Every word you speak, every step you take, every breath you breathe must reinforce that identity. Certainty does not wait for a clear sky. Certainty moves through the darkness like the sun is already rising. Certainty walks into the unknown with a steady hand and a locked jaw. Certainty doesn't check the scoreboard before it acts. It plays the game like the final victory is already written. From this moment on, you kill hesitation with action. You destroy doubt with decision. You build certainty not through wishing, but through relentless, undeniable movement. You don't just believe the mission will succeed, you know it will. And you move like a man who cannot lose, because the truth is, once certainty takes root, you've already won. Victory is not something you stumble into. It is not something handed down by fate or luck or the approval of men. Victory is assumed long before the first battle is fought. It is carried in the mind like a silent decree, an invisible crown that shapes every move you make, every word you speak, every breath you take. The men you admire, the ones who reshape the world with their bare hands, they were not sitting around waiting to be chosen. They did not ask permission. They did not wonder if they were worthy. They assumed it. They moved through life as if the throne was already built for them and all that was left was to sit in it. That assumption was not arrogance. It was alignment. It was the understanding that the mind must claim what the world has yet to see. Most men get this backwards. They think success is earned first in results, in applause and recognition. They think once the world sees them win, then they are allowed to believe in themselves. That thinking is death. That thinking traps you in a cycle of waiting, hoping, hesitating. And while you wait, the man who already assumed victory is moving, building, becoming. Victory is not earned by chance encounters or fortunate accidents. It is earned because long before anyone else believed, you believed. Long before you had the proof, you carried the proof in your spirit. You did not need to see it outside of you because it was already alive inside. The mind is the battlefield. The mind is the forge. Every thought you allow, every doubt you entertain, every excuse you whisper becomes a brick in the empire you are building, or the prison you are locking yourself inside. When you assume victory, you speak differently, you walk differently, you command your energy with the authority of a man who already knows how the story ends. It is not the world's job to convince you. It is not life's responsibility to make you ready. The responsibility is yours. You either wear the crown before the world sees it, or you die waiting for someone to hand it to you. Decide now. You are victorious. Not someday, not when the evidence finally arrives. Now, you are victorious because you have decided it is so. You have burned the image into your mind so deeply that the universe has no choice but to align with it. When the storms rise, you do not flinch. When the silence stretches, you do not question. When the delays multiply, you do not waver. Because victory is not earned through ease, it is revealed through endurance. From this day forward, you no longer negotiate with doubt. You no longer wait for validation. You walk as if the crown is already yours. You move as if the doors are already open. You act as if the victory is already secured, because in the mind of a man who assumes it, it already is. The silence will come. The setbacks will come. The long stretches of invisible progress where no one claps, no one sees, no one believes, those are not signs to retreat. They are the tests that separate the ones who were playing from the ones who were building. Most men crumble when the noise stops. They start to doubt when applause fades. They look around for confirmation, and finding none, they begin to move slower, speak softer, think smaller. They mistake silence for failure. They mistake delay for denial, and slowly they give away the very power that could have carried them through. You are not most men. You were not built to need permission to persist. You were built to move as if the outcome is locked, even when all outer signs scream otherwise. You were built to speak as if your voice shapes reality, even when no one is listening. You were built to act as if every step forward, no matter how invisible, is stacking bricks in the empire no one can see yet. But one day they will. The greatest mistake you can make is thinking that silence means you're wrong. Silence is the crucible where conviction is forged. Setbacks are the fire that burns away the weakness that would have killed you later. Every moment of delay is not a punishment. It is a preparation. When you move through silence without needing applause, you prove to life that you are serious. When you move through setbacks without flinching, you prove to yourself that you are unstoppable. And when you prove that, when you live that, the world eventually bends in your favor, because it cannot deny a man who refuses to be moved by appearances. Henry Ford faced years of failure, mockery, doubt. He built anyway. Thomas Edison worked in silence, failure after failure after failure. He tested anyway. Andrew Carnegie saw opportunities collapse in front of him. He moved anyway. They did not mistake the silence for a signal to stop. They understood silence is part of the construction. Setbacks are the sharpening stones. You must walk through the seasons when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when no one understands. You must move with the same fire, the same intensity, the same certainty, especially when the evidence is invisible. Because if you only act when you are seen, if you only move when the conditions are perfect, you will be a slave to circumstances for the rest of your life. But if you act when nothing confirms your greatness, you become the architect of your destiny. Silence is not your enemy. Setbacks are not your downfall. They are your proving grounds. Today you walk forward without needing a single sign. Today you build without applause. Today you act with the authority of a man whose victory is not contingent on evidence, but on decision. You move because you said so. You rise because you decided so. You endure because you already know how the story ends. And nothing, not silence, not setbacks, not delay, can stop a man who has already claimed his crown. Belief is not something you are given. It is not something you stumble into by accident. It is forged, hammered, molded, built by fire and repetition until it becomes unbreakable. You do not wait for belief to descend on you like a blessing. You create it with every thought you entertain, every word you speak, every action you repeat when no one is watching. The mind is not loyal to truth. The mind is loyal to what you feed it most. It mirrors your dominant assumption, not your fleeting hopes. If you assume struggle, you prepare for struggle. If you assume betrayal, you pull it closer. If you assume victory, you wire yourself to act as if it is inevitable. And because of that, it becomes inevitable. The average man feeds doubt daily. He waters fear with his words. He fertilizes hesitation with his imagination. And then he wonders why his life shrinks to match his fears. The dominant signal he sends to his subconscious is weakness. And the subconscious, loyal and obedient, bends his reality to fit the broadcast. But you will send a different signal. You will broadcast certainty. You will marinate your mind in victory. You will repeat the truth that shapes giants. Everything is working in my favor. I am built for this. I move like the outcome is already secured. You will make those words so loud, so constant, so overwhelming that the old scripts of fear and doubt suffocate under the weight of your new belief. Understand this. Your dominant assumption is your compass. It tells your body how to move. It tells your voice how to speak. It tells your mind how to interpret every setback, every silence, every challenge. If your assumption is rooted in fear, then every closed door will feel like a wall. But if your assumption is rooted in certainty, then every closed door will feel like a redirection, a detour towards something even greater. You must build this belief the same way a blacksmith builds a sword. Not once, not casually, but with daily deliberate force. You hammer it in the morning. You hammer it in the silence. You hammer it when you're tired, when you're doubting, when you're alone. You hammer it until it is no longer something you say. It is something you are. There will be moments when fear whispers louder than your faith. There will be days when your old mind tries to drag you back into hesitation. In those moments, you don't negotiate, you don't reason, you don't pause, you double down, you speak louder, you move faster, you outwork the echo of your former self. Because belief is not born in comfort, it is not born in applause. It is born in the relentless decision to assume victory. Even when the scoreboard says loss, today you choose what dominates your mind. Today you flood your system with certainty so violently that doubt has nowhere left to live. Build the belief, become the proof. Hesitation is death, not the quick kind. The slow, grinding, invisible death that erodes dreams molecule by molecule until all that's left is regret. Every time you pause when you should move, every time you second guess when you should strike, every time you wait for better conditions, you hand over power you will never get back. The man who rises is not the man who waits for certainty. It's the man who moves so fast, so decisively, that doubt never has time to anchor itself in his mind. Hesitation is a lie you tell yourself to stay small. It dresses itself up as caution, as wisdom, as patience, but underneath it is pure fear. And fear, when entertained, becomes reality. You were not built to flinch. You were not designed to overthink. You were forged to move. Every time you hesitate, you train your subconscious to distrust yourself. You teach it that your word is weak, that your instincts are flawed, that your power is negotiable. And slowly, step by step, you condition yourself into paralysis. But there is another path, the path of the man who moves while others are thinking, the man who acts while others are calculating, the man who builds while others are still planning their perfect moment. And because he moves, because he decides, because he builds, he wins. Not always immediately, but inevitably. You must kill hesitation at the root. You must destroy the habit of waiting, of circling your dreams like a coward, waiting for a green light that will never come. Your green light is your decision. Your signal is your will. Every second you hesitate is a second your enemy gains ground, a second your dream withers, a second your strength fades. There is no safety in hesitation, only decay, only regret, only the slow drift into a life you never wanted, a man you never intended to become. When the impulse comes to act, act. When the instinct strikes, strike. Train yourself to move faster than fear. Build a new reflex. Movement over delay, decision over doubt, execution over excuses. The titans of history were not the most talented. They were the most decisive. Henry Ford moved when others mocked. Thomas Edison persisted when others quit. Andrew Carnegie expanded when others hesitated. They understood what weak men never do. The clock is always ticking and it owes you nothing. You will not have infinite chances. You will not be given endless time. Every moment of hesitation is a theft from the man you could have been. Refuse to live that way. Today you kill hesitation. Not tomorrow, not when it feels better. Now. You move because you decided you are no longer available for delay. You move because hesitation has no place in the life you are building. The man you are becoming does not wait. He acts, he moves, he commands, he rises. And today, that man is you. Faith is not a feeling. It is not something you wait to receive. It is a discipline, built, carved, and hammered into your soul by force of repetition. The weak think faith is a lightning strike, something that lands on the lucky or the chosen. They sit in the dark, waiting for a feeling strong enough to move them. They die waiting. You build faith the same way you build muscle, by choosing it every day. especially when it feels unnatural, especially when it feels empty. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to submit to it. It is the daily, disciplined decision to believe in what is unseen, to move without evidence, to act without applause. Most men think they must wait to feel ready before they move. They don't understand the laws that govern their own mind. The subconscious does not respond to what is true. It responds to what is repeated. If you repeat fear, fear becomes your compass. If you repeat certainty, certainty becomes your foundation. It is that simple. It is that brutal. Every time you act with faith, when you make the call, when you build the plan, when you take the step, even when your hands shake and your mind screams otherwise, you are laying a brick. Invisible at first, intangible, but undeniable over time. And one day when the storms come, when life tests your foundation, you will stand unshaken. Not because you were born lucky, but because you built something no storm could touch. Understand this. Hope is a beggar. Hope says, I wish. Faith says, I will. Hope is passive. Faith is violent. Faith demands action. Faith demands movement. Faith demands you walk through the darkness like the sunrise is already guaranteed. There will be days when you feel nothing. There will be mornings when the doubt in your chest feels louder than your discipline. Move anyway. Speak anyway. Build anyway. You are not governed by feelings anymore. You are governed by decision. Henry Ford did not hope the world would believe in the automobile. He moved like it already did. Thomas Edison did not hope the light bulb would work. He decided it would and built until it appeared. Andrew Carnegie did not hope for an empire. He acted like it was already his, long before the world caught up. You must do the same. You must speak your vision aloud when no one listens. You must work your craft when no one sees. You must move with authority when the evidence is invisible. Faith is not built by waiting. Faith is built by walking. Today you speak your future into existence. Today you build it without asking permission. Today you carve faith into your bones until it becomes your reflex, not once, not twice, but daily, until nothing inside you even remembers what hesitation tasted like. Faith is not a feeling. It is a discipline, and it belongs to the man who moves without proof and refuses to stop. Before the world recognizes your victory, you must walk like it's already yours, not someday, not when conditions are perfect. Now. You don't wait for the crown to adjust your posture. You don't wait for the spotlight to sharpen your voice. You carry yourself like the outcome is inevitable, because the mind, the body, and the world respond to the energy you broadcast long before they respond to your results. Most men sabotage themselves before they even begin. Their body language leaks fear. Their voice trembles with doubt. Their movements betray hesitation. And the world mirrors it back to them, giving them more reasons to stay small, to pull back, to fold. Not because they couldn't have won, but because they walked like men who expected to lose. You must move differently. You must speak differently. You must breathe differently. The man who walks like a king long before the throne is seen draws the throne to him. The man who commands his voice to speak like he is already trusted earns trust before a single word is validated. The man who moves with the quiet certainty of inevitable triumph terrifies doubt into silence. This is not acting. This is alignment. It is the decision to live in the energy of success before the world has the chance to catch up. It's the discipline to command your state instead of letting circumstances dictate it. It's the understanding that your subconscious does not know the difference between imagination and reality. It only knows repetition and emotion. And the more you walk, talk, and move like it's done, the more you wire your nervous system to expect nothing less. You must build the posture of certainty, shoulders back, eyes steady, movements deliberate. You do not fidget. You do not shrink. You do not shuffle through life like you're asking for permission. You walk through the storm like the sun is shining. You speak into silence like the world is listening. You move through setbacks like destiny has already decided in your favor. When you embody victory, doors open faster. People feel it. Opportunities respond to it. The invisible game shifts because confidence changes the chemistry of the room you walk into, not because you forced it, but because you aligned yourself with the reality you already chose. It's not enough to believe in private. You must wear belief in your body. You must let it drip from your voice, vibrate from your movement, radiate from your stillness. The man who moves like he's victorious becomes victorious, not by luck, but by law. From this day forward, you move without apology. You speak without shrinking. You walk like the path bends for you, because it does. You align every fiber of your being to the reality you have already decided to create. Walk already victorious. Move already victorious. Live already victorious. And the world will have no choice but to hand you the crown you've already claimed. Focus is a weapon. It is the blade that cuts through fear, through noise, through distraction. Where most men scatter their energy like confetti, chasing every sound, every doubt, every flicker of fear, the man who wins commands his focus like a general commands an army. He aims it, he sharpens it, and because of that he conquers. Fear is born from a mind without orders. When your focus is loose, when your attention is divided, when you let every fear, every critic, every imaginary failure occupy your mind, you feed fear without even realizing it. You build it, you water it, you raise it until it becomes bigger than your will. But when you focus, truly focus, fear loses its power. It shrinks under the weight of your attention. It evaporates in the presence of purpose. Fear cannot coexist with obsession. Fear cannot survive where focus has been commanded and locked into place. Look around you. Look at the men who hesitate, who stumble, who fold. They are not short on talent. They are not cursed by fate. They are scattered. They have allowed 1,000 small fires to burn their energy into ash. 1 minute chasing hope, the next minute battling doubt, the next minute scrolling through someone else's dream, and they wonder why nothing is solid, why nothing moves. You are not like them. You will command your focus because you have decided to command your life. You will direct your mind like a sniper, locked on one target, immune to the noise. Every time fear tries to creep in, you will not negotiate with it. You will outfocus it. You will return your gaze to your mission. You will return your energy to your action. You will return your mind to the future you are forging by hand. Henry Ford did not build his empire by worrying about every voice that said it was impossible. He locked onto the vision. Thomas Edison did not invent through self-pity when prototypes failed. He locked onto the result. Andrew Carnegie did not crumble under obstacles. He sharpened his focus until the obstacles fell. Your focus is your shield. Your focus is your sword. Every second you control it, you are winning. Every second you let it drift, you are bleeding. There will be days when distractions scream louder than your dreams. There will be days when fear tries to disguise itself as logic. Your only job is to return to the mission. Your only task is to lock your mind back onto what you have already decided is yours. You are not here to negotiate with life. You are here to command it. And the first command you must master is the command of your own focus. From now on, you move like a man possessed by purpose. From now on, you wield your focus like a weapon against fear. From now on, you refuse to scatter your power for anything less than your destiny. Command your focus, and you will command your life. You do not wait for proof, you create it. You do not sit in the shadows hoping for signs. You move, you build, you execute, and the signs appear because you acted. The world does not reward intention. It rewards demonstration. The man who acts first manufactures the very evidence that others wait their whole lives to see. Most men are stuck because they misunderstand the law. They think they must wait for the right moment, the right resources, the right confirmation. But moments are created by motion. Resources are unlocked by movement. Confirmation only arrives after you have already stepped forward with nothing but decision in your hand. Action pulls the invisible into the visible. It takes the unseen and bends it into reality. It is not the man who waits who wins. It is the man who acts like he's already carrying the trophy before the scoreboard even changes. Understand this, life is waiting for you to move. Destiny is waiting for you to stop asking for permission. The universe does not respond to hesitation. It does not respond to fear. It does not respond to dreams written in the dust and forgotten in silence. It responds to the man who moves like his future is inevitable. When you act without proof, you terrify your doubts. You strip fear of its power. You dismantle hesitation one decision at a time. Every time you move without waiting for applause, without needing validation, you create a new thread of evidence inside yourself. I am the kind of man who moves. I am the kind of man who builds. I am the kind of man who forges proof where none existed. This is the difference between the man who lives and the man who watches. The builder acts first. The drifter waits for signs that never come. Look at the greats. Henry Ford didn't wait for the world to believe in mass production. He built the system. Thomas Edison didn't wait for someone to show him that light could live in glass. He acted through 10,000 failures. Andrew Carnegie didn't wait for someone to guarantee him wealth. He moved with the certainty that he could transform raw ambition into reality. They understood a secret most will never grasp. Proof follows persistence, not the other way around. You must move like the outcome is guaranteed. Not because it's easy, not because the path is clear, but because you decided it is yours. Every step you take carves evidence into the ground you walk on. Every risk you embrace without certainty cements your authority over your life. Every action you take in the absence of proof pulls proof out of hiding and slams it onto the battlefield of your destiny. Today you stop waiting. Today you move. Not later. Not when it feels better. Not when fear shrinks to silence. You move now. You act now. Because action manufactures the proof that hesitation will never deliver. Failure is not the enemy. Delay is not the punishment. Betrayal is not the end. They are all part of the construction, the raw materials for the empire you are building. But only if you have the mind to see it. Only if you have the will to refuse their old definitions and forge new ones. Most men collapse at the first sign of resistance. They label every setback as defeat, every delay as rejection, every betrayal as proof that they were wrong to believe in the first place. And because they label it that way, they live it that way. They sit in the rubble and call it the end instead of using it to build the next foundation. You are not most men. You will rewrite the meaning of failure. You will command the interpretation of your delays. You will turn every betrayal into fuel. Because everything that appears to be against you is secretly building something in you. A strength that comfort could never produce. A clarity that easy roads could never provide. Failure is simply feedback. It is information disguised as pain. It is the sharpening stone that scrapes away the weak parts of your design. Delay is not denial. It is preparation. It is the hammer that shapes your patience into a weapon. Betrayal is not a death sentence. It is a divine redirection, a violent mercy that clears your path of those too weak to walk it with you. You must decide that nothing will be wasted, not the loss, not the heartbreak, not the silence. You will alchemize it all into structure, into strategy, into steel. because the man who rises is not the man who avoids pain. He is the man who bends pain into purpose. Henry Ford faced bankruptcy before he built an empire. Thomas Edison faced thousands of public failures before he birthed a single invention. Andrew Carnegie faced betrayal by those he trusted most and used it to refine his circle, sharpen his ambition, and double the size of his empire. They did not mourn forever. They did not replay the betrayals in their mind like a sad song. They took the hit, bled if they had to, and then stood back up with new armor, harder skin, sharper vision. You must do the same. When life hits you, you do not ask, why me? You declare, build me. When delay comes, you do not fold, you forge. When betrayal rips people from your life, you do not chase. You clear the rubble and tighten your circle. Nothing is wasted, not if you command it. Today, you become the architect of your setbacks. Today, you rewrite failure into formation. You reframe every loss into a lesson. You reframe every betrayal into liberation. You reframe every delay into preparation for the storm you were built to command. You are under construction, and every piece of pain, every stone thrown at you, is now part of the foundation you rise from. Move forward, build anyway, and let the world watch what real alchemy looks like. Expectation is a weapon, not a wish, not a hope, a weapon, sharp, precise, lethal to fear. When you assume success, when you walk as if the outcome is guaranteed, you strip fear of its claws before it can ever sink them into you. Fear cannot anchor itself to a man who expects to win. Most men live in silent negotiation with fear. They expect betrayal, so they move cautiously. They expect failure, so they retreat early. They expect the worst, so they unconsciously create it. Their lives shrink to the size of their fear, and they call it being realistic. They never realize they have become prophets of their own destruction. You will not live that way. You will wield expectation like a sword. You will assume victory so violently that fear has nowhere left to hide. Every step you take will declare, this is already mine. Every word you speak will carve deeper into your subconscious that success is not an accident. It is an obligation. Understand this, the mind is a builder, not a judge. It does not question what you assume. It simply builds structures around your dominant expectation. Assume disaster, and you will find yourself stepping into every pitfall you visualized. Assume triumph, and your mind will pull unseen resources, unexplainable endurance, untapped creativity into your orbit to make it happen. Henry Ford was not waiting for approval before he built an industry. He expected success when the rest of the world expected failure. Thomas Edison was not hoping the light bulb would work. He expected it. After 10,000 failures, he still moved like success was inevitable. Andrew Carnegie expected to rise, not because the road was easy, but because he had already decided there was no other outcome. Expectation is a frame you force onto reality. It is the lens you choose to look through, not because the evidence demands it, but because your destiny demands it. You must cultivate expectation until it lives deeper in you than doubt ever could. You must rehearse it until it becomes your default setting. You must practice walking into every room, every decision, every opportunity, as if the world has already agreed in secret that you are the one. There will be moments where the evidence screams the opposite. There will be days when delay and defeat dress themselves as final. Ignore them. Expectation is not based on appearances. It is based on decision. It is a daily choice, a relentless affirmation. I do not ask if success will come. I expect it. Today you sharpen your weapon. Today you dismantle the last shelters of hesitation. Today you walk with a posture that leaves no room for doubt, no crack for fear to creep in. Expect to win. Expect to conquer. Expect the world to yield to the force of your decision. And when you do, you will find that fear doesn't need to be fought. It simply cannot survive where expectation leads. You are not defined by your hopes. You are not built by your wishes. You are shaped, forged, and revealed by your decisions. One decision made without apology, held without compromise, lived without hesitation. That is what transforms a man from a drifter into a force. Most men never decide. They entertain ideas. They play with possibilities. They flirt with potential. But when it comes to the final moment, the line in the sand, they hesitate. They leave the door cracked open for the old version of themselves to slip back in. And because of that, they live lives dictated by chance, by mood, by circumstance. They never become because they never decide. Decision is identity. The man you are becoming is born the moment you decide who you are without needing permission, without waiting for proof, without negotiating with fear. Once that decision is made, everything else becomes mechanical. Your habits bend to match it. Your standards rise to defend it. Your actions sharpen to reinforce it. If you decide you are a man of discipline, then when weakness whispers, you don't listen, because the decision has already been made. If you decide you are a builder of empires, then when the path grows hard, you do not retreat, because quitting is not something the man you have decided to be would ever entertain. Most people think change happens from the outside in. They think if they find the right routine, the right strategy, the right external motivator, then they will finally become who they're meant to be. But all true change begins inside with one final decision. I am. I am this now. And because I am, I act. Because I am, I move. Because I am, I do not retreat. Henry Ford decided he would revolutionize transportation before a single car rolled off his line. Thomas Edison decided the world would have light before he saw even a flicker of success. Andrew Carnegie decided he would dominate the steel industry long before the foundation of his empire was laid. Their results followed their decision, not the other way around. You must make your own final decision. Who are you? Not someday, not when it's convenient, right now, in the fire, in the silence, in the absence of applause. Who are you when no one is watching? Say it, declare it. Write it into the walls of your mind so deeply that nothing external can shake it loose. Because once you decide, truly decide, you no longer need to negotiate with fear. You no longer need to seek permission to move. You no longer need to ask if you're ready. You are ready because you decided you are. Today you draw the line. Today you burn the retreat plans. Today you crown yourself not by hope, not by chance, but by decision. Because in the end, you are not the man who tried. You are the man who decided. There must come a moment where you burn the bridge, a moment where you sever every retreat, destroy every exit, eliminate every quiet excuse that whispers, if this gets too hard, I can always go back. No, you can't. Not anymore. That version of you is dead the second you decide to rise. Most men leave themselves an escape route, a fallback, a safe place to crawl back to when pressure exposes their softness, and because they leave that door open, they never truly commit. They dip their toes into greatness while keeping one foot planted in the safety of who they used to be. They never rise because they never remove the option to stay the same. You must burn that option. You must set fire to the old life, the old patterns, the old mindset that kept you small. You must kill the comfort that made quitting possible. Because as long as quitting is an option, it will seduce you when the nights get long, when the path gets steep, when fear wraps itself around your ankles and begs you to turn back. Henry Ford bet everything on the assembly line when the world called him a fool. He burned the bridge. Thomas Edison gambled years of his life chasing the impossible without a guarantee of success. He burned the bridge. Andrew Carnegie built an empire with no fallback, no safety net, no plan B. He burned the bridge. And because they remove the option to retreat, they unlock the part of the mind that only activates under full commitment, the primal, relentless force that says, I must, I will, there is no other way. You must do the same. Burn the bridge back to doubt. Burn the bridge back to hesitation. Burn the bridge back to the man you no longer are. This isn't symbolic. This is strategic. The man who has no retreat will fight differently. The man who knows there is no plan B will endure differently. The man who understands that moving forward is the only option will summon a fire most will never touch. It will be tempting at times to rebuild the bridge, to leave yourself a soft place to land if it gets hard. Kill that instinct. Starve it. Replace it with one final violent decision. I move forward or I die trying. There is no negotiation now. There is no checking the weather, no polling the crowd, no seeking permission. There is only movement, only building, only the sound of your footsteps marching across the ashes of the bridge you burn behind you. Today, you sever your ties to weakness. Today, you close the doors to comfort. Today, you make sure that every step you take is one step deeper into the life you decided is already yours. There is no way back. There is only through. The men who build empires are not fueled by applause. They are not moved by noise. They are not dependent on praise to move. They are forged by silent persistence, the relentless unseen grind that most will never witness and even fewer will endure. You must stop expecting the world to clap for your effort. You must stop waiting for permission to keep going. The path to greatness is carved in silence, in solitude, in the dark rooms where no one sees you working, where no one cares if you keep moving, where the only voice cheering you on is your own. Most men cannot survive that silence. They start strong, fueled by the energy of early momentum, but the moment the noise fades, the moment the crowd stops clapping, they begin to doubt. They begin to hesitate. They begin to shrink back into the comfortable life they swore they had left behind. But not you. You persist without witnesses. You move without needing validation. You execute without applause because you have already decided that the mission is non-negotiable. Every step you take in silence is a declaration of power. Every hour you grind without an audience sharpens you into something unbreakable. Henry Ford didn't stop building because the world laughed at him. He worked when they doubted. He moved when they mocked. Thomas Edison didn't stop testing because the results didn't come fast enough. He pushed through 10,000 failures in silence. Andrew Carnegie didn't fold when recognition was absent. He expanded in the shadows before the spotlight ever found him. Silent persistence is your weapon. It is the proof that you are not here for applause. You are here for achievement. It is the evidence that you are not building for likes, for validation, for recognition. You are building because you said you would. You are building because you decided it matters more than comfort, more than approval, more than the hollow noise of temporary praise. Every day you show up without being seen, you are stacking invisible bricks. Every hour you push without applause, you are pouring concrete into the foundation of a legacy most men will never touch. And one day, when the world finally notices, when the results are undeniable, when they ask you how you built it, you will smile. Not because you need their recognition, but because you already know. You already built it in the silence. You already earned it when no one was watching. Today you persist. Today you move forward without the crutch of approval. Today you silence the craving for applause and replace it with the roar of unstoppable execution. Because titans are not built in the spotlight, they are built in the silence. Real power does not scream. It does not beg. It does not chase. Real power moves with a calm authority so deep, so unshakable, that the world feels it before you ever speak. Certainty does not require noise. It does not announce itself with frantic energy or desperate displays. Certainty speaks in silence, and the silence is louder than any shout. Weak men are loud. Desperate men overcompensate. They talk too much. They move too fast. They try to force the world to notice them because deep down, they don't believe in themselves yet. Their noise is a mask for their fear. You will not move like them. Your certainty will be a quiet storm. Your confidence will be an invisible force that bends the room without raising your voice. When you walk in, your presence will say what your words never have to. I am not hoping. I am not wishing. I have already decided. Understand this. Quiet confidence beats loud desperation every time, because the world does not respond to volume. It responds to vibration. It responds to the unseen frequency of a man who has locked his identity so deeply into certainty that nothing outside of him can move him. Henry Ford didn't try to prove himself with arguments. When they laughed at his vision, he just built it. Thomas Edison didn't waste time convincing critics that light could be captured in glass. He just stayed in the laboratory until it did. Andrew Carnegie didn't need applause at every step of his empire's rise. His certainty was the compass that guided him through every betrayal, every barrier, every storm. You must build the same. You must become the man who speaks few words, but every word cuts with precision. You must become the man who moves without panic, who acts without rush, who builds without seeking eyes to validate the foundation he lays. Calm authority comes from one source. You already know the outcome. You don't need to prove it. You don't need to explain it. You don't even need to defend it. You simply live it, breathe it, and move through life as if success is stitched into your DNA. There will be men who shout louder, who jump higher, who demand more attention. Let them. Noise fades. Applause fades. Desperation exhausts itself. You are not in competition with their volume. You are in command of your vision. From this day forward, you walk with stillness in your soul. You carry certainty like armor. You speak only when necessary, and when you do, the words land with force. Because they come from a foundation no storm can shake. You don't shout that you are coming. You move like you are already there. You are not programmed by what you know. You are programmed by what you repeat. Knowledge is powerless without repetition, powerless without ritual, powerless without daily assault on the mind that once held you back. Repetition is reprogramming. Repetition is rewiring. Repetition is how you take a man who doubted, who hesitated, who flinched, and turn him into a force so relentless that nothing outside of him matters. The subconscious mind does not respond to truth. It does not respond to potential. It does not respond to how badly you say you want it. It responds to what it hears the most, what it feels the most, what it is bombarded with daily until it has no choice but to accept it as law. Most men fail not because they are weak, but because they casually rehearse strength once, then marinate in weakness for the rest of the day. They listen to one message of power, and then spend hours scrolling through distractions that rot their certainty from the inside out. And they wonder why nothing changes. You must be different. You must feed certainty daily, like oxygen, like blood, like the essential lifeline that it is. You must speak it before you feel it. You must move in it before you see it. You must declare it until your subconscious accepts it, not as a dream, but as your default operating system. Repetition is how belief becomes identity. Every morning you hammer it in. Every night you drive it deeper. You do not wait until you feel inspired. You speak power into existence, whether you feel it or not. You act aligned, whether the results show yet or not. Because repetition does not wait for evidence. Repetition creates the evidence. Henry Ford didn't build a revolution on a single burst of inspiration. He hammered the vision daily until the world bent. Thomas Edison didn't invent through flashes of hope. He repeated the decision, the action, the persistence thousands of times until history had no choice but to etch his name into it. Andrew Carnegie didn't rise because he stumbled into greatness. He rehearsed the belief so deeply that even mountains moved to accommodate it. You must do the same. You must become a machine of certainty. You must drown out the noise. You must silence the old programming by suffocating it under the daily, ruthless, deliberate repetition of your new truth. There are no shortcuts. There are no hacks. There is only repetition. And repetition is not boring. It is the birthplace of unbreakable men. Today you commit not to a feeling, but to a ritual. Today you feed certainty until it consumes you. Today you understand that what you repeat, you become. Speak it, move in it, live it, until doubt has no air left to breathe, until certainty becomes your only language. The work that changes everything is the work no one sees. It's the battles fought in silence, the hours spent sharpening the blade when no enemy is in sight, the discipline forged when the crowd is gone and the lights are off. By the time the world notices a man has risen, his victory was already decided long ago in the invisible trenches he chose to endure. Most men want recognition before the work is complete. They want applause during the warm-up. They want the world to validate their path before they've even built the first brick of their empire. And because they crave that, they move weaker. They collapse faster. They betray their mission the moment it becomes inconvenient. You must be different. You must understand that the battles that count the most are the ones fought in the dark. The days you show up without momentum, the nights you work while no one is watching, the decisions you make when no one would know if you quit. That's where titans are built. Henry Ford didn't build his revolution in front of the cameras. He built it in the silence of failure after failure. Thomas Edison didn't invent in the roar of approval. He did it in the solitude of 10,000 broken experiments. Andrew Carnegie didn't forge his empire in public. He laid the foundations in obscurity, one brick at a time, unseen by the masses until the structure was too massive to ignore. The invisible work matters more than anything you'll ever do in front of an audience, because when the pressure comes, and it will come, you will not survive it by hoping, by wishing, by scrambling for motivation. You will survive it because you have already become the man who endures when no one is looking. You will not flinch because flinching was burned out of you in the invisible hours. You will not fold because folding is a language your new mind no longer speaks. Every day you grind unseen is a deposit into a future no one else can steal. Every unseen act of discipline is another thread in the unbreakable rope you are climbing. Every silent victory is another layer of armor that no critic, no delay, no betrayal can penetrate. Today you embrace the invisible work. Today you move not for applause, but for alignment. Today you understand that the greatest victories are won long before the battle is public. You are not here to be seen. You are here to become undeniable. Win in silence, build in darkness, move when no one is clapping. And by the time the world notices, it will already be too late for them to stop you. You are not chasing victory. You are not hoping to earn it someday. You are not reaching for it like it's dangling out of reach. You already won. The moment you decided, the moment you burned the bridge, the moment you silenced hesitation and replaced it with movement, the outcome was locked. Now your only job is to walk like it. Move like the path is already cleared. Speak like your words carve the future. Build like the foundation was poured by your own blood. Stop hesitating. Stop doubting. Stop wondering if you are worthy. You already decided. You already built the man capable of carrying it. Now you walk through the world like it belongs to you, because it does. The average man dies waiting for permission to move like a king. You are not average. You crowned yourself in silence. You hammered your spirit in the dark. You built the frame of a destiny too heavy for weaker men to carry. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to justify it. You don't need to seek approval for it. You embody it. You live it. You breathe it. There will be moments where fear tries to knock on your door again. There will be flashes of old hesitation. Let them come. Let them scream. You don't have to answer anymore. You are already too far gone. You are already walking in the certainty that builds empires. Henry Ford didn't move like he hoped to succeed. He moved like he already had. Thomas Edison didn't labor like a man wishing for a breakthrough. He moved like the light was already alive inside him. Andrew Carnegie didn't walk into boardrooms like a guest. He walked like he owned the walls before the ink dried on the contracts. You must move the same way. Every room you walk into, you own it. Every opportunity you approach, you command it. Every action you take from the place of a man who already holds the outcome in his hand. It is not arrogance, it is truth. It is the only way men who change history live, in advance of the evidence, anchored in the decision, armored by certainty. The scoreboard doesn't matter. The applause doesn't matter. The critics don't matter. The results are inevitable because your identity is already set. And identity always beats circumstance. Today you stop waiting for signs. Today you stop checking if it's working. Today you stop negotiating with lesser versions of yourself. You walk like it's done. You move like it's secured. You speak like your voice creates worlds. Because it does. You already won. Now walk like it.